Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Healthy Teams podcast. I'm your host, Mark Erickson, and this is the show where we dive into real stories behind thriving workplace cultures, exploring everything from wellness and morale to leadership and productivity. Today's guest is Kristin Bryce, founder and CEO of Manage Chaos Innovations. Love the name, Kristin.
Thank you.
Kristin helps organizations navigate change by guiding them through a deeper process of self discovery, helping teams reconnect with their strengths and clear internal roadblocks that may stand in the way of progress. Kristin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, Kristin, let's kick things off by having you tell a little bit about your business and the kind of work that you and your team do at Manage Chaos Innovations.
In short, I gamify organizational change. I am appropriate for any organization going through a major transformation. And the way that I approach things is by honoring the human within the business. Because really, when you break it down, if a business was just machines, if we just automated everything, it'd be easy. We make it hard, or we make it fun, or we make it innovative. But the human element is what makes or breaks a business and that culture. And it's incredible to me how we forget that. So with my approach, I actually have a 10-phase approach, but it always starts with goal setting. And the way that I approach goal setting is a story. You're setting the plot of your story and then being able to track that journey. So just giving things a different perspective and helping the people within an organization really understand their strengths and the connection that they have to the organization and to better utilize their skills and get excited about it.
Love it. Thank you so much. Kristin, it looks like you founded Managed Chaos Innovations last year.
I did.
What inspired that leap, and what's been the most surprising part of your journey so far?
Oh, great questions that I will try to keep brief because I could speak all day on that. Throughout my entire working career, and pushing 30 years now, where'd the time go? I always felt like something was missing because, I'd find joy in the work I was doing and I would achieve levels that should mark off that success box and get recognition for projects I was super excited about. But that high would fade quickly. It never felt like I was really in a place that I was meant to be. And I saw that same feeling in so many others that I interacted with over the years. And then I had some major epiphanies because I've always loved incorporating play in the work that I do. And I've gotten fantastic levels of engagement through that. And I started realizing that if it's not something that is directly tied to the work that you're doing, that you can see immediate value from, then you're going to lose people. It's one more thing, and people are busy and stretched thin and overwhelmed, or they're excited about other things and don't want to add one more thing to their plate. So I started coming up with methods that were highly effective. But in an organization, it's hard to take those approaches. On my own, however, I can be way more transparent about, okay, this is what's effective. This is how you engage. This is how you make every action count. This is how you make sure that you're getting through and you're making long-lasting change. So ultimately, I left a W-2 job and went off on my own so that I could pursue a vision, pursue a way of doing things that is highly engaging and effective, and that it's difficult to get up and running within an established organization.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. When I was doing a little bit of research for this podcast, Kristen, I read that you help teams defeat the monsters that are holding them back, which is very intriguing. Could you share with us what are some of the biggest internal or cultural blockers that you see that could be holding people back from optimizing their wellness and productivity?
That is a phenomenal question. The monster portion is fun because you're personifying the issues that you see. And rather than play the blame game, you're able to take all of those frustrations and put them into this entity and help everyone recognize, oh, wow, we're not fighting each other. We're fighting this cultural barrier or this roadblock. And the most common ones that exist are versions of communication lapses, of not clearly understanding your role. Role clarity is a huge one. Not really understanding how you fit into an organization or what you should really be doing or where they're even heading. I have been amazed at the percentage of employees that don't know what the objectives are for their organization. So, how can you make forward progress and feel like you're making a meaningful difference if you don't know where they're going and how you tie in? So, communication is number one, and there's various forms of that communication. Another one is not feeling valued, and that takes a few different forms. So, not feeling valued, the annual um, reviews, right? Your personal, professional reviews of the work that you've done over the year. Very rarely people are happy with those. And
Sure.
there's so much that's missing in them, but also so many things that make them feel like, wow, I'm not really valued as a person at all. So feeling like you're another cog in the wheel destroys how you value the company and definitely feeds disengagement. So communication, role clarity. Another one is redundancy. So in some aspects, redundancy is necessary. But whenever you get into a situation where you feel like you're in maintenance mode, that you're performing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're not feeding growth, first of all, your job's in danger because that's something that will eventually be automated. And also, you're not given the space to create, to feed that part of yourself. There are times with all of us where we just want to go in and our brains are somewhere else and we just want to have something easy to do, repetitive, that we can think about this other thing and feel like we're still getting something done, right? We all have those moments. But we also have these points where we don't want to feel like we're just stuck in this one position. So having a place to an outlet to have that creative freedom is very important as well and comes out in all sorts of ways. So yeah, communication by far number one, finding meaning in your work and how you connect to it, that role clarity, number two. And the third is feeling like you have a place to be heard and be creative.
So important. Yeah. Kristen, can you share a time when you helped a team turn kind of the typical office chaos into clarity and what wellness or productivity shifts that organization might have experienced?
There's a few examples. The organization that's caught a lot of attention was in government. And then I just finished a project with a church. I thought it was great that a church wanted to try this method. And what I love about um, the government experience and the spiritual experience, first of all, it makes a really fun joke that what are some things you don't talk about? Politics and religion, and then look who I'm working with. I absolutely love that. But also in government, there were very strict measurements, right? It's very easy to track progress. And with the church, it was very much spiritual. And the way that they measured their progress was very much based on feelings. So learning how to measure in those different aspects when I'm very used to data was a phenomenal experience. And I don't mean to get off the question, but there's there's great differences that would both make wonderful answers to that question. With the government, which was very easy to measure, and I want to make sure I'm answering you correctly. So I've written down the question because I tend to go on tangents. So I make sure I answer it correctly.
All good. So Kristin, could you share a little bit about how the gamification works
Yes.
that your company uses?
And it works in a couple of different ways. So in the workshop atmosphere, we're actually playing a game and diving into deep issues and developing very important tools and goals and everything through a game format, which is really fun, really fun. I'm hoping that it becomes the new standard in industry, honestly. Uh, I'm very proud. In business, it looks a little different because a big thing that I push is that there's no wasted effort, that everything that we do holds value and directly applies to the work because we don't want to add one more thing. So it starts off with finding that current state, assessing exactly where you're standing. So your current state versus wherever you're heading so that we can find those gaps. Yes, my phone's on silent. We're good. Um, so that's a very important part of it. And through that discovery piece, we start understanding the roadblocks that you're facing, the frustrations, and those become personified. And so we build this full strategy for achieving whatever high level goal your organization is aiming for, with identifying these frustrations that are hard to talk about and you don't really know how to address them, into monsters that you're defeating along the way. So as we're on the path to achieve this goal, we're now addressing those things that are standing in the way of progress for your organization. So it's a strategic game that we actually build out with mission specific actions. So it's not only the what, it's giving you the how to overcome them.
Awesome. You know, there's a old Chinese proverb: the only thing constant is change,
Yes.
and things seem to be changing in whether it's business, government, churches, you name it. Everything, just the speed of change is just becoming kind of insane, and I think that's just got to present some organizational challenges to teams. Is that something that you work with teams to help them adapt to change? Because even if change is constant, it doesn't mean that people like it, right?
It's painful. It's
It
very
is.
painful. Even if you desire to make a change, it still hurts. And yes, yes, I am very big about facilitating a change. And what that looks like is hands on training. So if someone is worried about AI taking over a part of their position, We'll teach them the tools. We'll show them how to utilize that AI, because understanding AI is now a huge benefit in business and something that can protect your job, right? And also, it's kind of a soapbox moment, so I'm going to try to shorten this for you. The latest studies show, and with latest studies, I mean Gallup, their global workforce studies that they do every year, the one that just came out, stated that 54% of people don't really know what their job is. And
Wow.
that equates in the US to $1.9 trillion a year in disengagement and turnover, right? Tie it in to this. That breaks down to every company paying every employee 34% of whatever their pay is. So $3,400 out of every $10,000 to nothing, to just full disengagement, them not being productive.
Wow.
We have a unique opportunity right now because in the age of AI, this latest revolution that's happening right now, we have an opportunity to recognize that with what we're able to automate, we're now gaining that 34% back. And not only that, but whenever you have the opportunity to really schedule a workday or a job role realistically, because when job descriptions are created, they're kind of created in vacuum, right? They're created with the intent of this is a full-time position. Full-time we'll look at as 40 hours. And these are the things that we need you to deliver consistently, right? And people are moving targets. We have emotions, we have emergencies, we get sick, we get disengaged, we get hurt, and things get in the way of us being our 100% productive self that we are according to this job description. So, a fear that a lot of people have is that if their position is becomes more efficient through automation, and they're only working, they only need to work 65% of the time, 66% of the time now, that their job is in danger. But according to research, only 66% of the time the work is being done to that level anyway. So I have this thought that I'm trying out with my own team of just building in those breaks, building in 8 hours a week. I want you to be selfish. I want you not go and do the shopping for the kids and everything, but whatever personal goals that you have, whatever you feel like you need to do to fulfill yourself, be selfish. Take that, because you're going to be able to focus a lot better and do a much better job and feel like you're a better person a year from today if you do that, versus 100% effort here. We want to see that this job is taking the full 40 hours, and you can deal with all that stuff on your own time whenever you're dealing with a million things that are happening there. So I just think we have a very unique opportunity to bridge that gap right now. COVID is a perfect example of that. So in COVID, something that had been festering for a very long time came to light. And it was the desire for people to find more meaning in their life and for them to have more autonomy in their lives. And now that many offices are going back to in person, we're seeing some rebelling going on, aren't we?
Sure.
And what's fascinating to me about that is so in goal setting, I go over the history of it. So the very first methodologies that were used, and they were very technical and measuring very specific things. But then around the year 2000, it shifted. And it was a fascinating shift because suddenly it became emotional. It became focusing on the meaning behind the goals that are set. And so it was taking on more and more of a human element because businesses were starting to recognize, or the business world was starting to recognize, that there's a desire for more humanity, that we were missing that piece. And with COVID, suddenly that really came to light, that we want to be treated like people. Why can't you just trust us? Why can't we have this freedom in our lives to work on our terms and give you the results that you want? And now we have this tool all these tools at our fingertips that can help us automate so many pieces and push business to a whole new level. So I just find this very fascinating shift and this resistance to the possibilities of where that shift can take us. It's a very fascinating time right now.
Yeah, it sure is. And, it's kind of ironic that so many people fear AI. And, but at the same time, it could be a tool that can make them, as you said, potentially much more efficient and perhaps help them offload some of the more mundane, repetitive tasks that maybe they don't like anymore. So maybe it's as much a shift in perspective as much as anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it's anything to be afraid of. I think it's opening the doors to us to reach a whole new level of innovation.
So, Kristen, so how you work with leaders who are navigating change, navigating transitions. How do you help them manage risk without getting paralyzed by fear or complexity associated with that?
Well, first of all, I'm very gentle. But really, what I do is I bridge a gap in communication because how leadership describes something and the deliverables they're really looking for is not clearly understood by a ground floor workforce. The language is very different. And so I basically get the go ahead from leadership, but I work directly with the ground floor and build out what that deliverable should look like. So it's a full on training in what this vision truly is. And so it's facilitating an education, uh, helping build out the tools that work better for their position and the organization, and removing those discrepancies that happen from that communication gap. So for leadership, that is extremely beneficial. They're getting an upskilled workforce, but they're also able to learn how to better communicate at that level as well. Um, so it's not a painful experience. It's one of growth, but the issues that arise and the questions that come up, we're able to frame in a fun way to where, oh, okay, I guess that we are facing this specific issue today, and it's just something that we're discovering. It bubbled up. This is nobody's fault. It's this monster now, and we have a plan to get through this. So it's just taking a more gentle approach to facing issues that arise. But yeah, it's really about bridging that communication gap.
Awesome, and I'm sure the intended goal is going to be improved morale, improved productivity, or those kind of the deliverables that the executives who'd be signing off on this are
Those are
hoping to
common ones.
attain.
Those are common ones. We establish Before starting anything, before kicking anything off, things come up as we go, and they're like, "Oh, I'd like to see how the change comes in this." But up front, we'll discuss very specific deliverables and how they want those measured. So we'll define KPIs. So that way I know going in what kind of tools they have that I develop, and make sure that we're efficiently capturing those as we go. So the common ones are, how many people are engaged? What kind of results are you seeing? Because a big reason why organizations want to utilize my services is because it improves culture. And measuring culture is an interesting thing. So measurements around engagement are really big. But also, yes, are there fewer errors? Are we addressing this many more tickets or talking to this many more people? What do our sales look like? Is this approach helping our clients as well? Uh, so it all depends on the organization, but measuring productivity, absolutely. You don't want to do something that's counteractive to what you want to accomplish. And is it positively affecting our workforce? And whatever measurements that looks like.
Awesome. Thank you. Kristen, what advice would you give leaders who feel overwhelmed by the ever growing list of employee needs, compliance issues, and culture building initiatives?
That is a phenomenal, phenomenal question because it is incredibly overwhelming. And I very strongly believe that whenever you hit a point of chaos, whenever everything seems like it's overwhelming, it's a signal. And the chaos is actually giving you incredible metrics to work off of. The very first thing that I would say is check your communication. And what that looks like at the very base level is getting everyone on the same page. So making sure that the messaging, whatever goal that the company, whatever direction the company is moving towards, is clearly understood. That's number one, because if you've got everyone going in a million directions, the chaos will continue. So it just having things clarified clears up a lot of mess. The second, check your systems. You've got to have a solid foundation in order to support any innovative thoughts, in order to support a change, no matter what the level. What does your standard operating day look like? What has to happen? What's the bonus stuff? How does that get done? Are you using the correct systems in place? Do you have that clearly defined? So getting your foundation solid will also take away a lot of the mess. So get your goal and your message clear, get your foundation set. Once those are in place, then you're building a place to be able to funnel those ideas. And then it's a matter of prioritizing the chaos, right? And I actually have really fun tools on this because I think that the amount of tools to assist with prioritization haven't changed in a very long time, like 50 years. And I've got some fun new things that I've developed that takes into account what your goals are. Are these tying into your goals? What's the cost to them? Are they impacting safety positively, negatively? And that way, whenever someone's pitching an idea, if it's something that they can't do right now you can pinpoint why. And you can get back to them and be like, okay, if it has a negative impact on safety, it's an automatic no. Fix this piece and we'll have something to work off of. So learning how to communicate why something can't go through or why it can resolve a lot of issues. So someone feel like every idea I give just gets shot down and they don't understand why, then they're going to continue get pitching ideas that get shot down. But it's a teaching moment. So that prioritization piece and learning how to communicate why something is going to happen first or why something isn't on the docket to happen is part of that communication piece as well and can go so far. So, top, the goal. Second, systems, foundation, solid. Third, prioritize and communicate properly with why things are prioritized the way they are.
Wow, fantastic answer. Thank you, Kristen. This has been a really great conversation. Thank you again, Kristin Bryce, for joining us and sharing your insights on building healthy teams. Kristen, before we wrap up, can you let our listeners know where they can find you and learn more about Managed Chaos Innovations?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me there. My personal email is Kristen at managedchaosinnovations.com. And my website, managedchaosinnovations.com. It's so long. I know. I know. Any submit button or contact us comes straight to me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kristen. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into the Healthy Teams podcast. And if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your team members, or really anyone who's passionate about building great workplace culture. We'll be back soon with more great conversations to help you build stronger, healthier teams. And until next time, stay well and lead well. Thank you.